All right, today we're taking a look at Nano cryptocurrency analysis and prediction. I'm excited about this one here. Welcome back to Crypto Cash. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis. Before we take a look at Nano, please consider subscribing so you can get notified as soon as these videos are released. This gives you a head start so you can effectively plan out your trades and make an informed decision. I have years of trading experience, and my goal is to share my knowledge with the cryptoverse. So thank you so much for tuning in. I always start off with the fundamentals, then dive deeper into the technical data. I also provide you with action plans for the future so you know what I would do in each scenario as a day trader and swing trader. So please be sure to stick around to the end for my recommendations. Also note this is not financial advice. This video is designed for educational purposes only. Now let's get started with the fundamentals. Nano, formerly considered RaiBlocks, is a peer-to-peer digital currency. It is a decentralized open source cryptocurrency based on directed acyclic graph architecture and released under the FreeBSD license. It operates without intermediaries by using and distributing ledger with a block lattice data structure. The max supply is 133 million, circulating supply at 100%. Today's high was $12.81, and today's low is $5.67. That's an increase of 55.7% in the last 24 hours. Now, surprisingly, I've received a lot of requests to cover this coin recently, so thank you very much for my recommendations from my subscribers. I appreciate you reaching out and letting me know this is something that you would like for me to cover. I actually come to find out this is a very, very decent currency. I like it a lot, but I do promise to get to all of my other requests very, very soon. So thank you again for your patience to my community. Now, in regard to the price, it's changed dramatically in the past 12 hours. It blew past the previous all-time high of $6.31. And just to clarify, before we move on, I want to highlight the pattern here that's forming. It looks like a double bottom pattern has formed, which is interesting because this typically is a sign that the price will increase past the resistance. So if you've ever looked at a double bottom before, go ahead and search for that. You'll see that it actually drops down, creates a W shape, and then shoots back up. Now, in this case, it didn't drop down, it rose up, so I would not put a lot of value into it right now because of the recent price increase. But there is still hope, right? Yeah, here's the hope. So, major resistance here is $12.81. That's the limit there. That's how high it reached. The potential resistance is $11.40. And the support level is $8.90 with a very small variance. Keep that in mind. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the technical analysis. For my day traders out there, as you can see on the 15-minute chart, Nano jumped out of nowhere today with a strong increase that was sold off hard from $12.81 all the way down to $9 even. The 50-day moving average, however, recently caught up with the price and is now considered a support level. It has a small variance as well. The VWAP is doing rather well right now too, which is nice considering the price movement. This tells us the price could trend upwards because it's mostly holding as a support level. Just make sure this level is tested a couple of times before taking entry. You'll probably hear me say that time and time again. And to my current subscribers, I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record. This goes for both swing traders and day traders, however. So just please understand that. Now here is my action plan as a day trader in this scenario. So in today's climate, what I would first do is wait for the VWAP to get tested before taking a position. And when I say tested, I'm referring to closing at least two 15-minute green bars. For those of you who are new to the channel, I'm a huge proponent for making sure that the entry point that you take, you only take it after the support or resistance levels are tested a few times. So if you jump in before the price has changed and it hasn't had a chance to level out, you run the risk of essentially losing a lot if the price corrects itself. Okay, so I do not recommend you take an entry if you do not have the appropriate indicators. So let's just go ahead and say in this scenario, the price does calm down a little bit, which it seems like it's having done that so far, so good. I would wait to see two 15-minute green bars close above the VWAP line, which is a volume-weighted average price. If it's tested and stays above, then I would go in approximately 25%, but only 25%. And the reason why I wouldn't go 50% or higher is because the price action being the way that it is. I'm always very careful getting in and taking entries when the price acts the way that it did recently. So please, a little bit of caution. Never go all in if you're swing trading or day trading. But furthermore, absolutely do not go all in when the price jumps up the way that it just did. It's easy to want to jump on the hype train, but I can tell you it's only going to burn you in the long run. So please be careful. I've been burned plenty of times myself. That's the main reason I want to provide this knowledge to you. But anyways, to kind of get back to this example, if I were to go in, I would have to wait for confirmation, of course. But what I'd do is I'd switch over to the 1 minute chart to pay closer attention to how the VWAP is reacting to the price. Now, if the VWAP is acting as a support level after just say 30 minutes, I would add to my position. If the price rejects and drops below, I would sell my profits or even take a potential small loss if I have to. That's okay. A small loss is better than a large loss, right? The key here is to not go all in immediately after the violent price increase or decrease. Trust me on this. Please be patient. On the inverse, if I get the indication the price is going to go down, then I would pay close attention to the support level established by the VWAP and also the support line if it drops below. Now, if the variance is large enough for it to break and stay below the VWAP first, then I would take a small position and wait for the RSI, the relative strength index, to indicate if the price is considered overbought. Typically, anything under 45 is a good entry point. I'd also remember to see if the MACD is trending downward and losing momentum. If so, I'd consider this to be a perfect scenario, and I would also remember to average down by selling small portions of my total so I can take profits whenever possible. I usually like to sell 20% of the time when I'm shorting. For my swing traders out there, taking a look at the 4-hour chart, I want to note the moving averages don't have any effect and will not for some time until they catch up with a price hike. Again, larger time frames, the slower the moving averages are going to be. That said, let's look at the relevant indicators instead. So first things first is the RSI. It's kind of one of my very first things I look at. So looking at the relative strength index, you can see it's still considered overbought at 75. This is not a great indicator to go long. I always prefer anything under 70 personally. Also, the MACD was trending upwards, but it looks like it's leveled out some. So be mindful of the momentum. It could shift depending on what happens with the resistance and support levels. The sentiment is still very bullish, however, so the best thing to do in situations like these is to just use a smaller time frame. I've gotten this question before where people are wondering why use a short time frame if you're swing trading. Well, it just makes a lot more sense to use a shorter time frame. Anytime the price hikes up like this, you have to be careful not to feed into the hype, and it's best to consider using the 5 or 15-minute chart instead. I've even used the 1-minute chart to find a good entry while swing trading. With all the recent volume, we want to use the VWAP and to see if the support and resistance lines are getting respected. I'll explain here in my example. First things first, here's what I would do to plan, if I was planning to swing trade today. So if I was going to swing trade Nano and I was feeling bearish, I'd wait until after the RSI is extended in the 80s, which it is right now. So that would be a good indicator. And the price were to hit the resistance level. If it does hit the resistance and bounce off, and just say it holds for 2 15-minute red bars, then that would be an ideal indication of a sell signal. So I'd get in there and I would short. I would only get in about 20% of my initial trade position and keep waiting for further confirmation before I add any more. Now this always ensures that I'm profitable. So the best thing you can maybe consider doing when you're swing trading, whether or not it's short or long, is just take small positions and keep adding to your position as you see more indicators in the favor of the direction that you're heading. Okay. Now for a long position, which I prefer, honestly, I'm more of a long trader, I would wait for the VWAP on the 15-minute chart to get tested at least 2 times, maybe even 3 times. And I would do this to ensure the price is staying consistent. I would then take a small position, only about 20%, after the VWAP bounces upwards and closes with 2 to 3 green bars. That would be 30 to 45 minutes. When I say 2 to 3 green bars, I'm referring to 2 15-minute candlesticks closing one after the other in green. Again, green means it closed higher than the previous open in that 15-minute time frame. So in other words, green tells us the price is increased. Now, in this example, when I say to wait 2 to 3 bars, I simply say this because the price action was so severe recently that you need to wait longer for confirmation. Normally, you could literally probably do 2 5-minute green bars and be okay if you're using the 5-minute chart. I personally prefer to have a 30-minute confirmation, but I almost always prefer a 45-minute confirmation after the price is as violently increased, or just say it would have decreased. You always want to wait for that confirmation. Now in this example, the next indicator, what I would do is I would use I would take a look to see if the resistance level is being tested. In this case, the first potential resistance is $11.40. And you guessed it, before I take a position, I would wait to get confirmation before adding to my position further. In other words, the price goes up over $11.40. I would add to my position, but only after waiting roughly 30 to 45 minutes to see where the price is heading. If I do get good confirmation, it seems to be progressing the way that I want, I would consider adding approximately maybe 30 to 40, maybe even 50% to my position, and then start taking profit as I get closer to my goal. Now, I cannot stress this enough. Make sure you set a target, and if you don't hit your target, just get out and take your profit. There's nothing worse than being up 5% and then losing 4 of that 5% because you were too greedy and tried to wait for it to bounce back and recover. The key to being a profitable trader is to survive to trade another day. So all we're doing is surviving. I'd be so much happier if you were to just get a 1% gain every single day instead of trying to shoot for a tumultuous, 5% gain or a 4% loss. You don't want to do that. Only take small wins if you can get them. And obviously, if you take little losses, that's okay too. Just make sure they're smaller, which is why you don't go all in all the time unless you're holding on for dear life. There's nothing wrong with that. Just make sure you know that I'm going in with this amount and I'm going to hold on for 30 plus days. That's okay. But if you're on a shorter term swing trade or a day trade, you cannot go all in. Trust me on this. It works. Now, if you find benefit from this content, please like and subscribe. Feel free to join me on Telegram, Instagram, or Twitter. We do have a chat channel there as well in case you'd like to ask some questions, get engaged in the community. Also, comment below and let me know what positions you're holding and if there's anything else you want for us to go ahead and cover. Is there any other currency you want for me to analyze? Be more than happy to do so. I typically analyze currencies based on their recommendations. So if I get 5 or 10 requests for one specific currency, I'll cover that first. That's why you see a lot of recent increase in price currencies, because a lot of people are asking for those because they're not sure exactly how to approach that. And that's fine. But I want to just make sure we cover everything. So please let me know. I'll be happy to cover it in due time. Just comment below. Let's go ahead and figure this out. We'll work together, grow together. Let's all build our wealth, right? That's the whole point of this. So thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you again soon in the next video. Take care.